when you think about franchises or think about investing into a franchise, that taxes is the first thing that comes to mind. I'm going to be honest. Why taxes? You know what I mean? Could you explain from the CEO himself why this system works?
Absolutely. I'll just be very simple. Taxes is a need-based business. It's a need. That is the foundational system that allows our country to survive. It's required by any American that earns money in the United States of America. And this system dates back probably 100 years, from 100 years ago, 200 years ago. This is the oldest standing system is taxes. Everybody needs their taxes done. Now, that is especially important for somebody that is a new entrepreneur incoming into entrepreneurship. Why? Because you want to be able to offer a service that everybody needs. You might lack the ability of creativity. You might lack the ability of sales. You might lack the ability of experience when it comes to being an entrepreneur. You might even lack the ability from a resource standpoint where certain businesses require resources. For example, opening up a food franchise, you might have to go $1 million in a hole. You don't got that kind of money. But when we're talking about a tax franchise, it's very low maintenance outside of the education. It's very low maintenance and it's something everybody needs. It's easy for you to have a conversation with anybody that's walking down the street. Almost everybody is your customer. This is a proper foundation for you if you are a new entrepreneur or if you're somebody who is an investor who's looking for multiple streams of revenue. This is the perfect opportunity for you to take a portion of your money and say, hey, if I were to start a tax franchise, this can work for me on autopilot because I know that everybody needs their taxes done. If I put this in the community, I know it's going to generate revenue. It's not a if it's going to, it will with time and with the proper marketing and with the proper system. Which takes me back to my point of Jumping Jack Tax being the mission, right? Jumping Jack Tax is the movement, and taxes and insurance and bookkeeping they're the products and services. And through being a part of that movement that we're building, it's going to be able to generate revenue. It's going to be able to generate momentum. That's the reason why.
What are people not seeing today when they see the outcome? When we go back a few months, maybe in March, April, like if there was something that you wish you could have bottled up and presented and showed all of your partners, everyone, all of your competition, if there's one thing that you could bottle up and wish that they had, like just front row access to seeing, what do you think was the most extraordinary part? What was a defining moment for you making a decision?
The most extraordinary part wasn't necessarily starting the franchise. That was more legal work and just money. But the insurance side, there was no way getting around the fact that I needed to go back to school to get my insurance license. And I remember when I made that commitment that I was going to get my life accident and health insurance licenses, that I wanted to have my mom do it with me. I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to go get my license, my mom is the general manager at our flagship office in Philadelphia. I want to be able to offer insurance inside of that location and be able to start an agency. So you know what? Let me have my mom come in and do it. And I remember the day that we made that commitment, I set the schedule up and I said, all right, Mom, here's what we're going to do. I said, every single day, we're going to study from, I think it was 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., Monday through Friday. And then on Saturday and Sunday, we studied from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. For, I think it took us about a month of studying. It took a little longer because I was a bit more well-versed in it and she was learning this from scratch. And every day, 1 to 3, every weekend, 7 to 11, we're studying. This went on for about a month every day, and all the way to the point where we actually had to sit and take our insurance license. And of course, obviously passed. And then the best part about it was after I ended up getting my license, I said, the 2 people that are here in our corporate office that's on our team, I want them to have their licenses as well, but they also didn't know anything about insurance either. So I said, The only way that they're possibly going to pass this exam is if I go through this entire insurance experience again, and I sit back down with them for another month. I relearn everything with them and act as if I'm going to take the exam, although I passed. So I sat down again with AJ and Cassandra on the team, and I said, hey, I want y'all to get y'all insurance licenses. I'm going to come in with y'all every weekend. And I think we went on the same schedule as I did with my mom's, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., and then 7 a.m. to 11 or 12 p.m. every weekend. And we did that for an entire month, although I didn't need to do it. But it was that level of sacrifice that I had to put forward as a leader to show that I'm dedicated to this. I want the people around me to win. I want them to learn something new. I want them to have a skill. And from there, Cassandra passed her insurance license. Took AJ about 3-4 times, but he pushed through, got his insurance license. And it was just that experience right there is something I'll never forget. That was an act of being a servant, not me serving myself, but really serving others when I didn't necessarily need to because I already crossed over the finish line. But on top of that, it was the fact that you still can't forget that I'm also running the company at the same time. So my mind is split in 10 different places trying to make sure that Jumping Jack Tax, as we're growing and as we're innovating, as we're moving into tax season, because it was getting closer and closer to the season, I still have to focus on that because we have around about 1,000 licensees that need help every day, and we're building out an infrastructure. And I had to split some of that time with going to school to get an insurance license, and I had to do that on the off hours. Not the hours when I was working, the off hours, and do it again for my team so that they could get their licenses too. And I'll tell you that there's not a single camera that could document that experience. You just had to be there. You just had to get that feeling. You had to get that vibe. I'll never forget that, ever. And the day that Jumping Jack Tax gets to that level, that multi-million-dollar company, $100 million company, that's going to be one of the foundational stories of how it started and how sacrifice gets you to the place where you want to be years later. Like, it starts with you putting it all on the line. Because a lot of people say they don't have time, right? I don't have time to do this. I'm already stretched to the capacity, but I showed myself and I showed the team that you could stretch yourself even more if you really want to do it and if you're really a servant to others. No camera that could have showed that.
The camera didn't catch it.
The camera, and actually, I'm sorry, the camera didn't catch it because that's not what we were doing it for.
Yeah.
It's not what we were doing it for.
And so what would you say to someone who was like, okay, that you're just doing too much? I mean, you sat there, went through insurance school, took the test with coaching someone else to do it, then went through insurance school again a second time to train 2 more people, not to tell them to do it, but to do it with them. What would you say to someone who was like, okay, yeah, you're doing too much?
I think that there's 2 different people in life. There's Michael Jordan, and then there's the role player. You decide who you want to be. That's really the only answer I can provide. Everybody couldn't be Mike and everybody couldn't be Kobe because they didn't have that level of intensity to get to that level. You admired those type of people, but to actually match their work ethic to get to that level of 5, 6 rings, to be a champion, to be a legend, you can't get there unless you match their level of work ethic. Just to reach their level and then to go beyond their level, you have to double their work ethic. So it's really, when somebody says too much, to me, it's just them submitting to the fact that they want to be a role player, which is not a problem. If you want to be a role player in your lane, you stick to that and you be happy with that. But for those that want to achieve a level of greatness is what you have to do. And for me, it wasn't for cameras. It's something that's just built inside of me where I don't feel comfortable not stretching myself to capacity. I don't feel comfortable being comfortable. I have to constantly put myself on like this, on like play a game with myself where I have to prove that I can do it. And I wanted to prove that I could not only do it for myself, but also do it for other people as well. And now that I'm past this game, I now got to move on to the next one from there and say, what's the next big challenge that I have to overcome? And now that's the franchise, right? Getting to that place where I'm saying that Jumping Jack Tax is going to be the biggest tax franchise in the country. The current company that has 25% market share and dominates our African American community, that I'm going to take them out. That's the new challenge. That's where my eyes are set right now. And everything that I've done thus far, I was able to achieve, and this one is going to be no different.
So let's talk about that a little bit. What was that foundational piece that said we have to move from licensing to being a franchisor? What was the biggest piece that kind of like resonated with you when it came to making that decision? That's a huge switch with responsibility, care for franchisees, obligations, regulations. Why? Basically, why?
Creating a system. One of the things I'm inspired by is a system, a machine that everybody can plug into and potentially see a level of success. With our licensing program, we were licensing out our software, we were licensing out our trainings, but we couldn't really go deeper because just legal things, we couldn't go deeper. We couldn't really allow people to use the Jumping Jack Tax household name, which Jumping Jack Tax is a movement. We couldn't allow people to really fully utilize the movement because of legal purposes, and we couldn't really give people a full-on system because our hands were tied. And at a certain point, I'm just like, hey, there are people who are coming into Jumping Jack Tax that I can't really help to the fullest ability because of the fact of we're not a franchise. And I could no longer allow that to be an excuse as to why I can't really help serve people to take them to, hey, I want to get you to have a 6-figure business inside of your community. Why not? And more importantly, when looking at your community right now, they're all dominated by franchise. One thing I will say that I'm inspired by is all of the franchises before me that have set the foundation. They have shown you what they've done. They've shown you the blueprint. And I think that now, with me being a millennial, being in 2020 and for this next decade, that I can really take the franchise industry into a new realm, something that's never been seen before, specifically in the tax and financial industry. So that shift needed to happen because I no longer wanted to make an excuse as to why I couldn't take somebody from, hey, when I started as a franchise, I was working at a job, and now I'm full-time. I'm able to take care of my family. My franchise generates this amount per year, and I'm set. So I wanted to provide a system and give people full access to the movement. That's really the goal.
So why would I start a franchise, a Jumping Jack Tax franchise? What's the purpose? Like, what do you feel like I'd most benefit from?
So when it comes to Jumping Jack Tax, I'll take it back for a second and again, talk about the fact that Jumping Jack Tax is a movement. Taxes, insurance, bookkeeping, and all the other financial services that we plan to provide in the future are all opportunities to generate revenue through the movement. So when you look at other companies, or you say, why would I want to go with Jumping Jack Tax? Other companies are providing you with services. You buy that company and you utilize the services to make money. Jumping Jack Tax is the movement. And what does that movement actually mean? The Jumping Jack Tax movement, we're creating this in order to create levels of freedom for African Americans and those that are in the underserved community. And how do we create that freedom? And I'm gonna tell you a quick story. I remember when I worked in banking, and I worked in banking for about probably 3-4 years, so I've seen a lot of things. And one of the things I remember sitting at my desk, and there was an older woman, I cannot remember her name. She sat down with me. This was right before we were about to close for the night. She came running in before 6:00 p.m. It was about 5:30-ish. She came, sat down at my desk. I pull up her account. I'm ready to go home. But I pull up her account. Lady has about $100 inside of her account. Older woman, by the way, probably late 50s, early 60s, about my grandmother's age. And she's headed towards retirement, but only has $100. And I remember asking her, how much, do you have assets outside of the money that's in this bank account? She said, no, this is my only money, which tells me that she's totally not set up for retirement. She's most likely going to have to continue to work in the system really until she dies. So from there, I'm talking to the lady. She needs to withdraw some money. And I remember with me working in that system in the bank, the only thing that the bank was worried about was me selling her a credit card. Not helping her financially. It was about, can we sell her another product? Although she only has $100 in her account and she clearly needs financial assistance, we only care about giving her a credit card. And if I didn't sell her that credit card, I wasn't doing my job as a banker. That didn't sit well with me. And inside of that type of system, it's causing harm for our community in general, anybody that's underserved in general. And these type of systems that I worked in banking, these are the type of systems that are all over the country inside of our communities, specifically in the tax industry. Those type of systems are in place where you have people that walk inside of the tax office to want to get their taxes done, African Americans, and they sit down after they get their taxes done because that tax office is driving the fact that, hey, you need to get a tax refund. You need to get a tax refund. Let's maximize your refund, and not even educating the community on what a refund actually is to begin with and how they can keep their money in their pocket throughout the entire year. They're just driving this whole refund. On top of driving refunds, they're giving you a loan for your refund ahead of time, and then making you sign documents without you even reading any of the information. That's the type of system that's being perpetuated inside of our communities today. And for me, that's one of the main reasons why starting Jumping Jack Tax was because I wanted to change that system. And one of my beliefs is that in order to create a level of freedom for African Americans and those that are underserved, you have to own the system. And Jumping Jack Tax is now that system that we own, where we have the ability to recreate that experience. You as a franchisee have that ability to recreate that experience now. No longer is somebody walking inside of the tax office and you're just going to be selling them on getting a loan so that they can get their money early, or not educating them on what a tax refund is, or not educating them on their W-4s or their finances, not educating them on why they need insurance. No longer are the times where they're going to walk inside of a location and you're just doing their taxes and they're just signing documents and not even knowing what they're signing. Those days are over, because we now own the system to really educate our community now when we come inside of it. That's number one, right? With that story with the older woman. And secondly is, again, when we take it back to you as a franchisee and having a location, remember, Jumping Jack Tax is the movement, right? And the products and services are the opportunities that fund the movement. So when you join Jumping Jack Tax as a franchisee, you're coming into this movement, and this money that we generate from the opportunity to produce this movement, we're able to fund that back into our communities. Whether it be you as a franchisee taking this movement and the opportunity to buy back your block, because we know that taxes is a need-based business. So by you, let's say, generating certain amount of revenue, 30, 40, 50,000 or whatever it may be, I'm not making a guarantee, but you generating revenue and saying, okay, I'm going to reinvest that to buying back the block. I'm going to reinvest that into my children's retirement by buying them stock. I'm going to reinvest this back into creating financial education systems for the people in my community to learn about insurance and credit and real estate. You can't do any of that if you don't have any money. And that's really our problem now, is that since we have a lack of resource, we can't do much of anything. So with the movement of Jumping Jack Tax and the opportunity of the products and services that we offer, it now creates a level of freedom for African Americans and those who are underserved on both sides, the customer side and on the side of the franchisee.
And so what do you feel like as a franchisor, a leader of, and ultimately holding the responsibility for these franchisees to be successful, what makes Jumping Jack Tax different? What does it bring to the financial industry that no one else does?
There are three things that Jumping Jack Tax brings to this financial industry that nobody else does. Number one is youth. Number two is technology. And number three is momentum. And I'll break those down. Let's talk about youth. I'm a millennial, and I've already seen the mistakes that my competitors have already made. None of them are on social media. If I just take it back to myself for a second, number one, I'm probably, don't want to toot my horn, but I'm probably one of the biggest content creators in the African American community. You're talking about somebody who has close to 600,000 followers on Instagram, 400,000 followers on Facebook, over 20, 30 on YouTube, and I can keep going on all the platforms, right? I understand the internet. I understand social media. And I was able to build a very huge brand through it and huge momentum. I was able to do the same thing for the Jumping Jack Tax Instagram page that has over 72,000 followers collectively. So you're talking about over 1 million people that I have access to with the click of a button that my competitors do not at the current moment, and with the understanding of Facebook ads. So Jumping Jack Tax is able to bring the youth to the industry because of the content that we can create. And with the proper strategy that we have in place for all of our franchisees, we're going to be showing you how you can utilize that youth strategy and this content strategy that we created in order to dominate the internet. Here's the thing. We're not trying to dominate in physical real estate. Physical real estate is never going anywhere. And if you don't have the money right now to open up a brick and mortar location as a Jumping Jack Tax franchisee, that's fine. You know why? Because now there's the internet and we're able to take up virtual real estate. And we have the opportunity of doing that, but we have to move quickly. We have to act fast. Number two is technology. My goal as a franchisor is to take all of the traffic that we have at our corporate office, from the millions of followers that we have access to, from the content that we push out, taking all of this momentum that we've built and distributing it back out to all of our franchisees. And how do we do that? Through technology. And here's how we've done it already. We've built a Jumping Jack Tax mobile app. You can download the Jumping Jack Tax app on Apple and Google to check it out. And what we've done is created an app where we're going to label you on this app, and customers actually have the ability of downloading the app, and they'll be able to find a franchisee, virtual franchisee in their area. And our goal with the Jumping Jack Tax app is for it to be the premier mobile app for consumers to find an African American financial professional. So if somebody, say, wants to get their taxes done, oh, I want to get my taxes done and I want to support a black-owned business. You know what? Download the Jumping Jack Tax app. They have tax professionals that are qualified on the app. You can find somebody that's in your area that's virtual. Oh, I need my bookkeeping for my business, but I want to support somebody that's black owned. Well, download the Jumping Jack Tax app. They have African Americans who are bookkeepers on there. Oh, I need some insurance. I need life insurance, but I want to support black owned. Well, download the Jumping Jack Tax app. You can find African American life insurance agents. We are the hub for African American financial professionals, and you as a franchisee are now a part of that hub. You're a part of that movement, right? When I talk, that's why I kept mentioning movement a lot, of Jumping Jack Tax being the movement, because when people hear the name Jumping Jack Tax, it's going to connect to the fact of they are a black-owned financial services company and I want to support black-owned. And that is the movement. That is the goal as of right now. And through you being a part of that movement, it automatically trickles down to you having value. So with technology, we've already built a phenomenal app with the right technology that's going to create that distribution for you and allow you to run your entire business through the app. And for consumers to be able to connect with a professional through the app, not having to open up a laptop. That was very important because, again, that's all a part of the youth. Again, who the heck is walking around with a laptop all day? Nobody. But if we can have everybody do it all on their phone, we win. And we also have the data as well to be able to remarket to our customers, which, again, produces distribution for you. And that's really our goal. And we plan to continue to innovate our app to become even more premier and allow the experience to just be phenomenal from start to finish on a consumer side and for you as a franchisee. Number 3 is momentum. And I'll say it again, Jumping Jack Tax is a movement. We live in a culture right now where we want to support our own. We feel empowered with spending money with each other and referring other business to those in our communities. And through Jumping Jack Tax, being a Black-owned tax franchise, one of the first of its kind, you are going to be on the forefront of that movement because there is nobody else like us.
When it came to licensing, it was whoever was able to pay for the license was able to utilize it.
Yeah.
But with franchising, I came to learn that there was a huge vetting process of the door is tight. You know what I mean? Everyone can't be a franchisee. What are the qualities that you're looking for in a franchisee to help you propel this brand forward due to the fact that we're all franchisees are relying on each other to keep that standard? What are your qualities for a franchisee at the very moment?
So before I get into what Jumping Jack Tax is looking for in a franchisee, let me just take it back to the history of franchising in general. Most of the franchises that we know and love, you becoming a franchisee is predicated on financial capability, not your skill set. So most franchises are requiring $500,000 to $1 million sometimes, even $100,000 liquid cash in order for you to join their franchise. That would already disqualify about 98% of African Americans or those that are underserved in the communities, right? So when we look at Jumping Jack Tax, I didn't want our core quality to be finances because I still wanted to offer the opportunity to those that are willing to fight and have the skill levels to say, hey, I want to create generational wealth for my family. So we do have 10 Jumping Jack Tax core success qualities of a franchisee, which I won't get into at the current moment. I'll only be stating 3. But after you fill out the application online and assuming you pass that initial check, you'll be talking to a franchise sales rep that'll be talking to you to see if you fit those 10 core qualities. But just to talk about 3 as of right now, the first one is, of course, you need to have a good understanding of social media. You got to have a comfortability with the internet. Why? Because again, we're trying to drive digital real estate. And the way that you're going to be successful as a franchisee, especially if you don't have the funds to necessarily open a brick and mortar, is through the free web. So by you having a comfortability, we can teach you our social media system, our content system that's going to allow you to build a brand that creates organic traffic and turns into customers. So that's number 1, is social. Number 2 is tech. You need to have some sort of tech ability. Why? Because again, we're also a tech company as well. We're building out our Jumping Jack Tax app, and the goal is to improve the customer experience, which again improves the value of Jumping Jack Tax. How? Because if we're going to be requiring customers to do everything from their phone, you as a franchisee should have the ability of doing everything from your phone as well, which again improves that customer experience, improves our communication time. When somebody instant messages you, having the ability to message them back, uploading their documents, having them sign. You need to have some sort of ability when it comes to the tech side. And one of the third things too is mobility and availability. This is important because I understand that for a lot of individuals that come into the franchise, you might still be working at your job and doing the franchise at the same time. And with respects to that, we're looking for individuals that are like, hey, I'm trying to use this opportunity to retire myself and my family to create generational wealth. With respects to that, all we're asking is for you to have availability to still serve the customers and the clients in the midst of you working at your job, to really stretch your capacity and say to yourself that I can do this, I'm willing to do that, and having the mobility as well because of the fact that we also have a concierge edge to Jumping Jack Tax where sometimes clients may not want to come to a physical location, or you might be virtual, so you may need to meet a client somewhere and take care of their taxes. Having that mobility and availability just shows us that you have the drive, that you have the hunger to want to serve our clients. And I'll do one more just because this one is important, the willingness to serve. This is probably, I would say, probably one of our top 2 cores. Because what makes Jumping Jack Tax unique is the fact that we're serving our community. And if you are going to be opening a brick and mortar location, we've already done this at our flagship office. We have food drives almost every month, literally giving back to the community that are coming into our location. Food drives. One of the things we also do is free financial literacy courses every single month. And when you come in as a franchisee, we're going to require you to serve. We're going to require you to have free financial literacy courses. We're going to require you to have food drives and coat drives. Why? Because that's what makes us unique. And why is that important that we do that when other franchises don't? It's because of the fact that since the franchisor, myself as the CEO, is from that community, with my love for that community, I understand that we have to serve that community. And I understand that we have to give back the same way that we take when they give to us. It has to go into a circle. With other franchises, since the actual franchisors are not from that community, but they're doing business in the community, they could care less about the livelihood of the community. They only care about the profitability.
And so ultimately, I think, with respect to common sense, you're telling us to trust this system, but the system's being built by you.
Yeah.
Why should we trust Donnell Morris with the Jumping Jack Tax franchise? Essentially, if I'm dedicating my time, my money, my finances, my education, franchising is a very serious and can be very rewarding. Why should we trust you? What do you have that's special?
And that's a great question. And let me just make a statement first that good companies have great products. Excellent companies have great management. Those are the differences between the two. And I will tell you this. I'm currently, from watching this video, 26 years old. But I'll tell you this. There is not a single thing that any of our competitors have done or anybody that has achieved a level of success that I won't do 10 times over in order to grow this company, because this is my life. And more importantly, I'm doing this for a different purpose than most people are. I'm not necessarily doing this for profitability. I'm doing this for the mission. I'm doing this for the ability to serve. I'm doing this so that we can grow and create a stamp inside of our community. This is something totally outside of what others are doing this for. So when you think of me, there's not a single thing, and I'll make this promise as a leader, there's not a single thing that if I don't know it, I won't have the ability to learn the same way that our other competitors have done, and learn it a lot quicker than them, adapt a lot quicker, and distribute it back out to you a lot quicker. Not a single thing I won't do. And I'll tell you this, although I'm the CEO of this company, you don't work for me, I work for you. And one of my biggest missions is to stay super connected with the system. And what I mean by that, since you as a franchisee, you're on the ground level and you're the one handling the customer, you know what they're hearing. Sometimes you have a lot of franchisors who don't even listen to franchisees at all. They just say the system is great the way it is. I have the ability of bending. I have the ability of connecting into that system and saying, hey, as a franchisee, what are you seeing on the ground? What are customers saying that they want? What are they saying that they need? What do they need more assistance with? And you bring that back. If we have enough of that, I'm willing to bend it and say, hey, let's go ahead and add that on. Let's add that service. You know what? Let's add that mission. Let's add that community drive. Let's add this making this donation to that company because they're a good fit. I have the ability of bending. I have the ability of transitioning, adapting. And with being young as of right now, I have a lot of stamina. And with that, it gives me the ability now as the CEO to really grow this company to success. And with you believing in it, we're going to take this to the moon. Why are you just shaking your head?
What would you say to your first franchisee? Because you haven't opened the doors yet. What's the message to your first franchisee that signs on board?
The message to the first franchisee that I bring on board is one word: Adaptability. Be adaptable. Because at the end of the day, I understand that we're a new franchise and I understand that you're a new franchisee. But one of the biggest things that I understand about business is that it only works if two people work together. And I'm willing to work with you. Congratulations, first and foremost. I'm willing to work with you. And all I ask is for you to work back with us as we continue to build this skyscraper. Right now, you are on the foundational level of a company that's going to be transcending, a company that is going to change the way that the financial industry works, the way that the tax industry works, the way that people respect companies and businesses in our community. And all I ask that is you on the foundational level is to work with us as we grow through this, as we make changes, to be adaptable and just continue to serve all of our clients. And when serving those clients, bring it back so that we can continue to grow this thing together. I am not again, looking at this as we're the franchisor and you're the franchisee and I'm looking down on this. I'm looking at this as we are business partners here and we're going to be able to see a high level of success if we work together. And that is the main goal. That is my main priority. Welcome to the Jumpin' Jack Tax location. If you are a franchisee who's looking to open a brick and mortar, this is what your office is going to look like. And we're going to start from the outside to give you a visual of what your location will look like and what you should be looking for as a franchisee, and also what makes us unique at Jumpin' Jack Tax. So to start, I just want to really show how busy the area is. When we originally found this flagship location, we wanted to try to look for a couple different areas. As you can see, there's a Wawa across the street. Obviously that's in Philadelphia, but they're a very big grocery store. We have the cleaners, nail salons, bowling alleys. The reason why we decided to open up the tax office near these landmarks is because there's a lot of traffic on this street right now. With traffic comes clients, and with clients comes revenue. So when looking for your location, you want to look for a place that's in a high traffic inner city area and preferably next to landmarks. We were lucky enough to find something on a corner, and if you find like a corner location, that's even better. But let's walk you through the process of what you should be looking for. So to start, when you open up your brick and mortar location, this is what your signage is going to look like. Okay, with the Jumpin' Jack Tax, the black sleek logo, and when customers are walking by or they're on the bus, they're able to see this logo driving by, right? It represents something. It represents a black-owned tax franchise, and that's what it will look like for you. And on top of that as well, if we continue to walk down a little bit further and keep going, one of the things that we also have inside of the window, we have they call it a light board, where you're able to run messages across. This is a great way for marketing as well, that you can have on the outside of your building for marketing purposes. We also have a TV too that's there. And if we keep going as well, one of the things that you can do as a franchisee is you can actually have your own vehicle. So we have the vehicle parked outside of the tax office. So this is just another way that we market. When you become a franchisee, you can open up you can actually have a vehicle wrapped sitting outside of the tax office on top of your tax office there as well with the signage and the logo. And as you're driving around, because we offer concierge service, then you're constantly marketing yourself. I think I talked about this in the earlier part of the video. Having a car is like the #1 form of marketing, and you wrap in your vehicle, it just adds to more traffic to your location, right? And y'all can still see behind me how much traffic is coming because we chose the perfect location. But outside of that, let's keep going from there. And so the location looks great. And you see the signage, you see everything here. Not a super big office. And obviously on the front here as well, we have our hours of operation and everything from there. And I want to take you guys inside to show you what the inside of your location is now going to look like as well, and what makes us unique at Jumpin' Jack Tax. So let's walk on in. Okay, so inside of the tax office now. This is the best part, and this is what makes us very unique. The first thing that you're going to see is the living room area. Why is this very important? Because we believe at Jumpin' Jack Tax, one of the first ways that you start to learn finances is, of course, in your home, or that's expected. And we wanted to bring the living room vibe inside of this tax office, inside of this financial space. And this is what your office is going to look like. So we wanted to make this very comfortable, not just for yourself, but for your clients, their families. When they come in, they can sit down and relax. When you look at a lot of other tax offices, many of them don't look this way. Many of them are not, they don't keep up their locations. We want our locations to look top notch every time that somebody walks in. It gives that great feeling, 5-star luxury vibe. And that's what we want the client to feel when they walk in. So the first thing you'll see a set of chairs here, which you'll be able to check out our approved suppliers that are going to have all of this furniture here. Then you have the nice rug area. You have the leather chairs. You have the couch. And then you have some nice office and table accessories from there, right? So the living room vibe. And then as we come over, you also have, I just learned that this was called I called it an entertainment center, but my wife calls it a credenza. I guess that's a bit more of a upscale way of saying it, but you have your entertainment center. You also have your accessories over here for your clients to be able to get something to drink, some snacks, whatever they need. You have the TV here, you have the water fountain. And one of the things that we also are going to be doing inside of the franchise offices that you'll be able to do as well is having a custom jumping jack tax, a logo here, or a life-size jumping jack tax mascot that your clients are going to be able to take a picture of after they're done getting their taxes done. Again, it's all a part of branding. It's all a part of increasing the value of the brand, and also clients coming back to you year over year and introducing your office to their friends, their families, because they're posting those images onto social media. So we start here with the living room. This is what really makes us the most unique. And if we continue to look a little forward here, you also see even down to the texture that we have on the walls. We wanted to give a nice warm feeling again. And this is the type of texture that you're going to have when you open up your location, that warm feeling. And as we continue to move over from here as well, one of the things that we also is very unique about us is we wanted to capture, again, that millennial, Black excellence, urban vibe. So one of the things we did was we hung up a lot of motivational posters here inside of the tax office, which you'll be able to do through our approved vendors, of having motivational posters and figures in our community. And this just adds to the vibe. And of course, this is Muhammad Ali, one of the most influential Black figures in culture, right? So this adds to our essence of what we believe in here. And then you also have this table area here where you normally would have your associate that's going to be greeting everybody when they walk in. They're here booking the appointments and doing everything that's necessary. Or if you're running this as a one-man show or one-woman show, then you could have this here, or you could kind of remove it out of the space if you're going to be doing this solo. And as we continue to go from here, there's a quick scan of the back area. This is what the back looks like in the tax office. This is what, and again, if we look at the floors here, again, the warm feeling on the floors. That's the vibe that we want. And then as you continue to scan back, you also have the glass on the tables. Of course, because of COVID, we want to make sure that all of our customers are protected and make sure you're protected as well. And if you look deep back there, you got Muhammad Ali again. Again, this is all about creating that Black excellence, Black culture. When people walk in, we want them to know that this is a Black-owned tax franchise, and we love the community. And again, it's creating that motivation vibe, right? Not really creating that when you walk inside of a tax office, that feeling where it's like it's stuck up, it's cold, you're just a number. It's warm again, and that's the vibe that we want to create here when we're starting a tax office. And we also have the kitchen area here too. Again, warm coloring that we love, right? And as we move into the actual bathroom, then you have your custom orange bathroom that matches our color schemes when opening up your location. So everything that we do when opening up a franchise location is to really give a warm living room, family environment, upscale, high class, white glove, and black culture and black excellence. We merged all of those together into one to create a location. And this is something that customers, when they walk in, they feel great. This is what separates us from every other tax franchise, because this is what they don't provide, right? And not to mention, they're not connected to culture. And we're connected to culture. This is what we want to give, and this is what you'll be able to have when opening up a franchise location. And more importantly, you're also going to be able to use this franchise location as well when doing virtual returns. So you could have your franchise location for walk-in traffic, and so the community knows that you're here. Community engagement, having events, give back events, using this location to have free financial literacy courses, and kind of moving the tables out to the side for potential customers to come in, have the financial literacy course, and then they transfer into leads. Or you could use this space as well for virtual. So you're also handling virtual clients from in here. So you have the best of both worlds when having an actual franchise location, and it'll drive a lot of traffic for you. So I just wanted to give you a vibe of what the franchise location would look like, what you're in for, what we were looking for from a corporate standpoint when it comes to creating this idea. And we're going to continue to build upon it from here when it comes to creating more value for the brand, creating more market share for all of our Jumping Jack Tax franchisees, and really becoming the top tax/financial services company in the country. Now that you've seen the brick and mortar location, which it looks beautiful, by the way, and we've added so much culture into it, and this family experience, this family vibe, you now have an idea of what your investment would look like when you join the Jumping Jack Tax franchise. So no matter if you're a virtual franchisee or brick and mortar franchisee, I still want to take it back to the point that Jumping Jack Tax, we are a movement. Taxes, insurance, bookkeeping, and all the other services that we provide are the opportunities that continue to fund this movement, so that we can serve our community, so that we can take back our community, buy back our community. And as long as you fully understand that movement, then we'd be happy to bring you in as a franchisee of Jumping Jack Tax, whether it be virtual or brick and mortar. So all that I need you to do at this time is to click the link below to fill out a franchisee application. And upon our team reviewing your application, if you fit the description, you'll be receiving a phone call to go through our interview process of our 10 core success qualities of a Jumping Jack Tax franchisee. And if you pass that, I'm super happy to welcome you in as one of our newest franchisees of Jumping Jack Tax, a revolutionary movement. With that said, I'm Prince Donnell, founder, CEO of Jumping Jack Tax. Have an amazing day.
Got my taxes jumping, now my bag coming with that major money, dripping blessings. That might buy a house for my mama, bad credit. Don't even sweat it, cause they'll repair it, ain't no question. They can do it.